Welcome to Health at Diary. My name is Winnie Lubembe and we're coming to you from the Aga Khan University Hospital right here in Nairobi. Now, according to statistics, cardiovascular diseases are regarded as the #1 killer worldwide, with diseases like heart failure, stroke, and as well as heart attack contributing towards 20.5 million deaths per year. And the biggest matter is that 80% of cardiovascular diseases are preventable. So the big question is, why the many deaths, and what is it that we can do to prevent the same? Well, we find out after this fact of the matter. Cardiovascular diseases are the leading cause of death globally, claiming over 17 million lives each year, according to the World Health Organization. More than 4 out of 5 CVD deaths are due to heart attacks and strokes, and 1/3 of these deaths occur prematurely in people under 70 years of age. Most cardiovascular diseases can be prevented by addressing behavioral risk factors such as tobacco use, unhealthy diet and obesity, physical inactivity, and harmful use of alcohol. Well, according to statistics, they're saying cardiovascular diseases is the world's #1 killer. So today on the show, we want to really understand and delve deeper into understanding what exactly are cardiovascular disease and what role does lifestyle and also other, comorbidities play in terms of catalyzing heart attacks, all right? And to help us with that conversation, we have Dr. Leonard Mzee Gunga, who's a consultant interventional cardiologist from Aga Khan University Hospital. Thank you so much, Dr. Ari, for your time as well. And we also have Mr. Jasper Olo, who's a dietitian right here at Aga Khan University Hospital. Thank you so much as well for your time. Jasper, so very quickly, Dr. Ari, cardiovascular disease, big term. Can we get to understand what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, so again, I agree with you, big term, but cardiovascular means the heart and the vascular system. And basically, you can call them disease of circulation because of the circulatory system. And these diseases include what we call heart disease in particular, stroke, and other diseases, for example, where the arteries in the leg get blocked and people get pain. So it's basically the diseases surrounding the heart, the brain, and the vascular system. And it is true, they contribute to, as of today, the large majority of deaths worldwide, Kenya included.
Yeah. So the biggest question is then, what are the causes? What are the risk factors as well for cardiovascular diseases?
So, yeah, they are also called lifestyle diseases because they have affected human beings when they live. Basically, when you change from hunter to gatherer, you start living a life in the nice house, you have a good car, you have constant access to food. Because if you remember, when you are hunter and gatherer, you basically have to hunt for every meal. But this time, everything comes in plenty, and therefore we find a situation whereby food is in plenty, exercise is limited, and people are not find themselves really in other activities, particularly so related to work and other social activities. So they lose out a lot on the some of the compensatory measures, such as exercise, for example. So that's why the term lifestyle disease came, because they basically came to accompany the new changes in the way the human being lives. So this started in Europe many years ago in the 19th century. Now it is here with us in the 21st century. And we have seen that transition taking place just like it took place in Europe and America. In the last century.
All right. We'll come back to understand, and especially when you're talking about age, because initially back then, people would think cardiovascular diseases, these are diseases of the old or diseases of the affluent. But now that has somehow changed. And we'll come back to you, Dr. to understand how so. And are we seeing a reduction in terms of the age, the onset? But for Mr. Olo, so Dr. mentioned food is in plenty, but exercise is limited. Can we just pick up from there and how then that could, put us at risk of cardiovascular diseases?
Thank you. Let me start from the hunter-gatherer aspect that you mentioned. Hunting required a lot of energy. It was energy intensive for a man to get his food for a day, because it meant walking, then running, and after the prey until you catch it. So they could spend energy. Shifting from that, when we eat to get energy to help us perform a task. The kind of tasks that you are performing nowadays are very mechanized and made easier. In that, if you are leaving your house to your place of work, it is motorized. You're going from maybe ground floor to a first floor. It is this lift. So there's minimal expenditure of energy that we consume. But our diets are very energy dense. Energy dense to mean the carbohydrates that we take have a lot of energy, the sugars, the fat that is added to the foods that we eat to make them more palatable. Also due to technology, to ensure that the food is available, the preservation, the processing end up maybe eliminating some important components of the food, more like fiber is extracted. So when you are eating your food, you end up eating a large portion of it made up of calories, whereas the fiber could have reduced some of the calories but still make you feel full. So that's a way in which diet has contributed in a big way.
And when we talk about, again, diet, food, it's not just what we eat. It's also how it's prepared, right? Where do we get it from? What time are we consuming whatever it is that we're consuming, right? So we'll come back to you to understand more on the same. But Daktari, the whole aspect about, what we're talking about when we started the show, there's so many other risk factors that would predispose people. But can we talk about the age aspect of this? Because I was reading, and they were saying the numbers are actually getting lower now, and we're seeing people in their late 30s, early 40s also experiencing cases of cardiovascular diseases. So I don't know how that is here in the country.
Yeah, that is indeed correct. So again, the age at which the disease sets in, there before we could talk, we were seeing people in their 60s, 70s, 80s getting with diseases. Now we are seeing people in their third, fourth, fifth decade getting this disease, particularly the risk factors. Yeah. So you will be surprised that what we call the risk factors are preventable. And that has to be really come out strongly. Yeah. There are some people who say the world generates more knowledge than it has the ability to consume. Okay. We have a lot of science. We know that 80% of cardiovascular disease can be prevented. But we are far behind from even implement the things which can achieve that goal. And this aspect we shall remain behind. So it is true, these diseases can be prevented by preventing the diabetes in the first place, preventing the hypertension. And how do we prevent that? We do know the things that need to be done diet-wise. We do know the things that can be done exercise-wise. We can know things can be done in the wider community level. And just talking about the issue of how poor we are in consuming our science. Yeah. Just a very simple thing, like we've really worked hard at reducing smoking, for example. There are a lot of things that have been done. We have seen smoking reduced in the worldwide. But there's something else that we have come to know, that sitting is the new smoking. Sitting down is actually not very good. True. Here we are, me and you sitting down. We shouldn't having this. We should actually be standing. It has been shown that if we do this stuff when we are standing, it is much better compared to sitting. But how long it will take for us to implement that simple knowledge, we are yet to see. True. So it is true that there are a lot of things we can do, but we lag behind. And the more we implement this small multitude of things, the more we shall reduce these diseases which are we know are increasing. Okay,
all right. And I'm just curious to understand how that looks like here in the country in terms of the people that you see. Are you seeing more on the older, or are we seeing more on the younger, like 40s, 50s, thereabout? What is the biggest population that you see?
So that is the folly of it, because we see the whole spectrum. Okay. Yes, so we see people here. People talk of it being a genetic disease. But what we know, there is both genetic and something called environmental factors. So it is true that you may have inherited genes from your parents, but it's also true that what your parents eat and what they do trickles down to the person.
To the person, yeah.
So that environmental issue is uniform across the board.
Okay.
So if you find the parent has this disease, the same conditions which cause the parent to get that disease have also been transferred to the children.
Yeah.
So in as much as the genetic component is a very strong environmental element as well. So it is true that two work together to basically, so it's not unusual nowadays to find a whole family, everybody say hypertension runs in our family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and we think that's
and yes, it's not. Yeah, it is just because of the same environment.
Yeah.
If the same food you take is what everybody takes, so you're not surprised that the whole conundrum of disease is affecting the same family.
All right. So how about we pick that conversation from there, and even the whole aspect about, so fine, what is it that we're eating? What quantities? What time are we eating? How are we preparing? If we are preparing at all, the foods, and we'll also look at, again, the pre-existing conditions. Dr. mentioned diabetes, hypertension as well, and how, that puts us at risk and what is it that we can prevent. But all that is coming up after the break. Stay with us. This is Health Diary.
There's a lot going on at the moment in this house.
The true identity is uncovered in the brand new unmissable Zari. Starts 23 October, only on Maisha Magic Plus, channel 163 on DSTV Access, GoTV Plus, channel 3.
Wakurugenzi! Madai kuna maji. Karibuni! Hii ndio base ya the best local entertainment. Sema drama.
Mimi kazi yako ni Zodiac.
Madam wa telenovela. We got you.
Njoro iko tu sawa.
Baby. Tumefungulia magic. Starting from the 7th of October, Maisha Magic Plus will be on DSTV Access and GoTV Plus.
New Sensodyne Repair and Protect with Deep Repair. It's a huge game changer for me. The science is pretty amazing because it really goes deep inside the tooth and repairs tooth sensitivity. I am a happy patient. I will be able to go back to the things that I enjoy eating the most. The science is there. It's going to improve the quality of my life in a big way. The new Sensodyne Repair and Protect with Deep Repair.
They say you never get a second chance to make a first impression. A new Germany manager, Julian Nagelsmann, certainly didn't waste that opportunity. A new era in German football is off to a positive start as Nagelsmann looks to rejuvenate a struggling team and restore the nation's greatness within an 8-month time frame as the 4-time world champions prepare to host Euro 2024.
I'm very excited to introduce Ushidi Gardens Nakuru. This property is developed by Optiven and we are doing compacted maram roads. We plant the trees, fence the property. So please call this number 0790 300 300. Optiven, we have you covered.
All holders are notified to report and surrender unclaimed financial assets to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, UFAA, on or before November 1st, 2023. Visit www.ufaa.go.ke and get started.
All right, welcome back. Just in case you're tuning in right now, today our focus is on, yes, cardiovascular diseases, but we're also looking at comorbid and lifestyle conditions that predispose us to cardiovascular diseases. And again, we're talking about heart attack, right? And to help us with that conversation, we have Dr. Leonard Mzee Ngunga, who's a consultant interventional cardiologist right here at Aga Khan University, together with Mr. Jasper Odlo, who is a dietitian right here at Aga Khan University Hospital. Dr. mentioned a lot of things before we went on a break. Genetic versus environmental factors, right? So before we come back to Dr. can we just first of all understand the whole concept about food? Because I want to believe everything revolves around what we put into our bodies, right? And how much energy we are expending. Yes, so can we just first of all understand the whole concept about food, what we eat, what time we're eating, are we preparing the foods in the right way, because that informs a lot of things that Dr. I mentioned.
That's true. What we eat, how it's prepared, at what time we eat it, play a very big role. And as I had mentioned earlier, we eat more of refined foods with less of fiber. Much of the fiber we get from whole grains. We get fiber from fruits and vegetables. And then fruits and vegetables are also known, for example, to contribute to micronutrients, who are very important in managing the cardiovascular conditions, like potassium, for example, in preventing hypertension. When our diets are less in potassium, which we get from fruits and vegetables, and we eat more of sodium, then hypertension would easily crop in. When you talk about environment, then it's important also to note that other than activity, there's a component that we usually forget about, rest, which you also need to mention, which is about the issue of sleep. Very important in terms of controlling the hormones that flow in our body, because hormones have been found to play a big role in determining even how your body is able to expend that energy. When you have issues with your hormones, your metabolic rate goes down. Metabolic rate is the rate at which your body is ready to burn energy. And the one that controls that in a big way is called basal metabolic rate. The energy you are burning at rest, even when you're lying down on your bed. When that goes down, then your body's total readiness to burn energy goes down, and that you'll work on well by getting adequate rest, being physically active to help build your muscles, and also an environment. I have to mention exposure to sunlight, because when you talk about cardiovascular diseases, one thing that comes to play, which Dr. Gunga will mention to you when you go to, someone walks into his clinic, he'll check your blood cholesterol levels. And cholesterol, the body will always make it, human beings. Even if you don't eat it, your body will make it from carbohydrates. And that is the biggest contributor. But then this cholesterol, the body needs to use it. The body utilizes cholesterol to make vitamin D. If you don't expose your skin to the sun rays, the body will not be able to make vitamin D by utilizing that cholesterol. So environmental factors are a bit several, other than just diet alone. But when we come to diet, the timing of your meals and how the food is prepared is also very important. When we go through much of the fried foods, then you end up taking in a lot of excess calories in your diet. You take a lot of sugar and you're not active, then sugar will just end up being deposited as fat. In fact, the World Health Organization has come up with guidelines on how much sugar we actually need to take in a day. Yeah. If you're active, you don't need more than 3 teaspoons equivalent of sugar. In a day? In a day.
Not in one sitting.
In a day.
Because a lot of people do.
3 teaspoons.
In one sitting.
Because sugar, it's being called to be obesogenic. Obesity is the deposition of fat. So you take excess sugar, your body ends up piling a lot of fat.
Yeah. All right. And Dr. based on what Mr. Olo is saying, a lot of people would say, yeah, we know that. We have been taught this in school, basic diet. It's important for you to expose yourself to sunlight and all those things. But still, we're seeing a lot of cases, especially when it comes to lifestyle diseases, which again predispose us to getting cardiovascular diseases. So what is the biggest challenge? What is the biggest issue?
As I've said, is the challenge is translation of science to
practice.
Yes, I've told you we can prevent 80% of the disease. And if you prevent them, the hospitals will not be empty. Yeah. We shall treat the remaining 20%.
Okay.
But how can we prevent this 80%? Yeah. As the dietitian is saying. So a very simple example, fruits and vegetables. Yeah. They say every day you should have how many servings of fruit and vegetables? 5. They should be actually your main meal.
Okay.
5 servings. That's the recommendation.
All right.
How many people obey simple rules like those ones? So you are not doing the right thing, then you are surprised at the outcome.
Seeing a rise in the
The people, when it comes to food, they just want to eat ugali and meat. That's the one thing is food. No one believes eating vegetables and fruits actually is important. It's actually a meal.
Yeah. Because they're saying like some, like what kills has like some bit of carbohydrates in them. So we don't need a lot of, but it's a different type of carbohydrate, right? The little knowledge that I have over there. Okay. And it's how, so then what are some of these symptoms that we should be on the lookout for? Because like you said, cardiovascular diseases is basically diseases of the heart, right? So then what are some of the signs and symptoms that we should be on the lookout for?
So again, the difficulty with this is because they are called silent killers. They are silent disease. So, and this is where the challenge is. Many people go to hospitals, they are surprised. Oh, my blood pressure is 150 or 100. Oh, my sugar is 7. They just get surprised because they have no signs. And that's why it becomes a point of individual awareness, number one, and then people to go for screening. That's why you go where people telling you, please go and be checked, because you do not know. And this is what makes it really, really difficult as we talk about intervention that can help many people and communities. So people are encouraged, you should check your blood pressure as frequently as you need to, because it does not cost anything. Blood sugar can be checked in any clinic, particularly so if you have a family history. I give some few examples. Some of the people who benefit a lot from good health, despite having a lot of disease, are women. Why? Because they go to the clinics during pregnancy. Oh, they check, oh, your blood pressure is a little bit abnormal. And they are put on treatment. Oh, your blood. So it means it is true, it is there, but they are put on treatment and they are able to live without a lot of problems. But if it is discovered too late, then it's even more difficult to treat. So there's no harm in knowing early that my blood pressure is misbehaving. Sometimes that's a word that you can use. Misbehaving, that means you don't like it is high, you people are still young. That means you can start doing something about it. Because if you ignore it, the blood pressure will just continue. So you start doing, so going for screening is really an important method. That means people taking things into their own hands, because really it's your initiative. Because checking your blood pressure, it costs anything. Checking your blood sugar costs a prick. And even simple things like monitoring your weight. Because it's like management. When you want to manage something, then it is your business. So you manage your weight, you know today it is 85. If I don't do anything, it will continue going towards, so it is time I manage it downward. So managing your own numbers. So check your weight. If you don't check it, then you will never know. You will not be surprised to find some of them in the offices within a few weeks. Why? Because we have advanced the techniques for treating these patients and the outcomes have equally improved. So not all is lost. If the worst comes the worst, then at least we can still treat and prevent these people from dying. And then we put them on what we call secondary prevention. Because if you survive a heart attack, the primary goal of the team, including Dr. Ngunga and Jasper here, who are dietitians, because some people still do not know what they need to do. So we reinforce the dietary measures, we improve our medications, and some people never come back with a heart attack. They're able to just live within the confines of those therapies for very many years.
All right. And so then what lifestyle modifications do we need to do? Because again, like you said, diabetes, hypertension, all of them, are risks in itself. So what lifestyle modifications do we need to do as soon as now? And also very quickly on children, because we're also seeing a lot of children who are obese. Right? So how much of a concern is that to you and to Dr. Ngunga as well?
It needs several approaches in terms of the environmental factors. If I start with sleep, let me not start with that. Okay, yeah.
Let's start with sleep. They say 8 hours, but really, how practical is 8 hours?
You don't have to sleep for 8 hours for you to get a restful sleep. You can even sleep for 4 hours. The important thing is your bedroom dark enough. We expose ourselves to a lot of light, even at night when we are supposed to sleep, thereby interfering with the brain getting a restful sleep. So number one thing, can the bedroom be as dark as possible? And then we minimize exposing our eyes to the light-emitting gadgets late in the night, because they interfere with something that it's called natural biological clock, or the circadian rhythm. The body is able to do specific things at specific times. If by around 9 p.m. you are still exposed to a lot of light, your body will not produce enough of the hormone that should send you to sleep, called melatonin. Yes. And if that is not released, the brain will not sleep well.
So stop having your phones in your bedroom, your TVs. People have TVs in their bedrooms.
Even standby lights of chargers.
Yeah.
Try to eliminate them from the bedroom.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Sleep important.
That would be number one.
All right.
Number two, finding time to expose yourself to the sun. You know, when right now when you're in this room, even with the rays of the sun outside, we are not able to tell what time of the day it is unless you look at our watches or clocks. But when you're outside, by just looking at the position of the sun in the sky, you are able to tell what time of the day it is. That's very important in setting that circadian clock or natural biological clock, which will then allow you to have enough sleep at night when you go to your bed. Other than the second benefit is the rays coming into contact with your skin, then you get your vitamin D. Yes. So exposure to sunlight has more than just one benefit. When the circadian rhythm is disrupted, hormonal balance gets disrupted. Thereby, you now start having hormones that promote stress and inflammation. Then the problems now come one after another. Sugars getting out of control, blood pressure getting out of control, metabolism getting suppressed, then you end up gaining weight without knowing. Yes. So those are some of the things that I would really stress on, even before we go to diet.
But I mean, there's so much to discuss, but we do not have more time. But let's just put a pause over here, and I'm sure we'll have subsequent conversations, all together on the same. But for now, Dr. Leonard Zengunga, consultant, interventional cardiologist, Aga Khan University Hospital, as well as Mr. Just Paulo, dietitian at Aga Khan University Hospital. Asanteni sana. Insightful conversation this morning, this evening, right? As far as comorbid and lifestyle, risks that are exposing us to cardiovascular diseases, and in this case, we're talking about heart attacks. So I believe that you've learned a lot. Time now for you to take a look at this health tip.
This exercise is excellent for pregnant mothers because it does not involve a lot of movement. You can be able to do it without any risk of injury. All you have to do is stand with your feet close together, then step sideways as you raise your arms. Go to half squat position. You don't have to squat low. Then go back to starting position as you lower your arms, the other side, just like that. The lower you go, the more you engage your muscles. This exercise is working so many muscle groups. It's working your shoulders, your quadriceps, your hamstrings, and your glutes. So do it as many times as you can.
Well, that marks the end of our conversation today on Health Diary as far as cardiovascular diseases are concerned and the role that lifestyle plays. And like we heard from the doctor, 80% of cardiovascular diseases are preventable. So what we need to do is some lifestyle modification and we're good to go. So if you have any other question, our social media handles are down at the bottom of your screen. But for now, I'll ask to say goodbye. A special thanks to the Aga Khan University Hospital for hosting us today. My name is Winnie Lumbembe. Until next time, adios. Now, cardiovascular diseases are regarded as the Hey, Allah's okay. True. So, the short. Well, that was the end of our